In the summer of 1985, in the quiet town of Brookhaven, Louisiana, something unthinkable happened. Marla Granger woke to a silence so thick it choked her breath. Her twin daughters, Sophie and Clara, were gone. Her husband, Thomas, was missing too. The whole town said he'd left her. She said he took them. No one believed her. It had been an ordinary night, humid with the kind of southern stillness that makes the air feel heavy. Marla had just folded the last of the laundry, placing the girls' matching lavender nightgowns on their small, shared bed. Outside, cicadas screamed from the trees, and the dusky orange sky refused to let go of the sunset. The girls, 7 years old and inseparable, were brushing their teeth, laughing at a private joke only they understood. Thomas, meanwhile, had grown quieter with each passing day, coming home late from the body shop and barely speaking at dinner. Marla felt the change in him, but she'd long since stopped questioning it. At exactly 8:05, she tucked the girls in. They clutched their favorite stuffed rabbits, Mopsy and Sugar, and Marla kissed their foreheads, whispering the same thing she always did, "Mama loves you more than all the stars." Then she cracked the door open and walked back to the kitchen. Thomas was already in bed. Or so she thought. By dawn, the air felt wrong. She woke to that choking silence. No laughter. No creaking floors. Just the low hum of the refrigerator. Her coffee cup trembled in her hand as she walked toward the girls' bedroom. Their bed was empty. Sheets folded. Rabbits missing. The cup dropped from her fingers, shattering on the hardwood floor. She sprinted through the house, screaming their names. Doors flung open. Back door ajar. No footprints in the dewy grass. No signs of struggle. No farewell note. Gone. Thomas's side of the bed had been slept in. His boots were missing. So was the old green pickup. Sheriff Bo Landers arrived within the hour. He took his hat off when he saw Marla's face, but his voice stayed calm, detached. "Could he have taken them camping without telling you?" Marla laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was the most absurd thing she'd ever heard. "He hasn't taken them anywhere in months. He took them. Don't give me excuses, he took my babies." There were no Amber Alerts back then. And in Brookhaven, a town where men were rarely questioned and women were expected to endure, the authorities called it a domestic misunderstanding. They said he'd come back. He didn't. Marla stopped eating. Stopped sleeping. But she didn't stop moving. She printed flyers herself using a grainy black and white photo from the girls last Easter. Sophie had her arm around Clara's shoulders, always the protective one, even though they were twins. Marla drove to neighboring towns, slipped the flyers under windshields, taped them to diner windows, pinned them on gas station corkboards. She asked everyone the same question. "Have you seen these girls? This man?" Some nodded politely. Most didn't look her in the eye. After the first few weeks, they stopped answering the door. 3 months later, a pickup resembling Thomas's was found abandoned in Arkansas. It was stripped clean, no plates, no prints. Nothing. The trail went cold. And in Brookhaven, the whispers began. Some said Thomas had been pushed too far. Others hinted Marla had snapped, done something unthinkable, and was crafting a story to save face. She stopped attending church. The pews she once sat in now stared back at her in judgment. Only one thing remained constant, her belief. Marla knew, the way only a mother could know, that Sophie and Clara were still alive. That Thomas had taken them. And that she would burn every breath chasing the truth. The years began to slide by like pages in a forgotten book. Spring came, bringing wildflowers and peach blossoms. But never her daughters. She still baked the cake every March for their birthday, vanilla with strawberry filling, their favorite, but never touched it. It would sit on the table like a dare to hope. By their 8th birthday, she stopped counting. But not hoping. The sheriff's office had long since closed the case, labeling it voluntary family separation. Thomas hadn't broken any laws. There was no restraining order. No custody ruling. Just one hollowed-out woman screaming into the void. But Marla never stopped shouting. She drove hundreds of miles to towns she'd only heard of on the Weather Channel. She taped flyers to truck stop bathroom mirrors. She waited outside elementary schools, watching children spill out in the afternoon sun, just in case. She kept a notebook of every possible lead: girls who resembled Clara spotted at Walmarts, school pictures from Tennessee that bore Sophie's dimples. Each note scrawled in frantic ink. License plates. Descriptions. Dreams. Most people never responded. A few sent back form letters. The worst replied with silence. In 1988, a friend of a friend told her they'd seen a man who looked like Thomas at a county fair in Arkansas. Marla stood in the heat for 6 hours that day, scanning faces, following little girls with blonde ponytails until her vision blurred. But he wasn't there. She drove home in silence, the grief heavier than her bones. Doubt crept in late at night. What if they hadn't survived? What if something darker had happened? What if Thomas didn't take them, but something else did? But then she would pull their photo from her glove box. The one with them in Easter dresses, smiling at something just out of frame. Sophie's hand on Clara's cheek, her familiar sisterly gesture. Marla would press her lips to the image and whisper, "I still believe in you." That belief kept her breathing. In 1990, Marla received a letter from a woman in Alabama. It was written in pencil on lined notebook paper and folded 6 times. The woman said she'd seen a girl at a church play who looked exactly like one of the girls in Marla's flyer. Same dimples, same tilt to her smile. She also described the girl's guardian, a quiet man who drove a rust-colored pickup with no license plates. Marla was on the road by dawn. She spent nearly 3 weeks in that town, eating from vending machines, sleeping in her car outside the church. One evening, she saw the girl. Her heart stopped. But when the child got close enough, she saw it wasn't Clara. Still, it was the first time someone had believed her in years. That Christmas, Marla mailed over 100 cards, not to friends or family, but to police departments and media outlets across 5 states. Each card contained the same message. If you see these girls, please don't look away. Their mother is still waiting. Still searching. Still alive. Marla Granger, Brookhaven, LA. 2 years later, nearly 7 years after the girls disappeared, Marla made a decision that changed everything. She hired a private investigator named Burke Lanham. A former state trooper with a worn leather jacket and a scar over his right eyebrow. He had the look of a man who'd seen too much and stopped pretending it didn't haunt him. Burke listened. He didn't ask if she was sure Thomas had taken them. He didn't ask if maybe the girls had wandered off. He didn't call her crazy. He simply said, "Let's start at day 1. They spent hours in her kitchen. Marla told him everything. The bedtime story, the missing rabbits, the unnatural silence the morning after. When she described the pickup truck, Burke perked up. A 1972 GMC Sierra. Forest green. That's a rare make these days. He promised to comb auto records, check auction lists, scan backdoor mechanic logs. Weeks passed. Then in February of 1993, Burke called from a payphone in northern Arkansas. "I found the truck," he said. It was sitting behind an old barn on the outskirts of a town called Heber Pines. Painted black now. Different plates. But the VIN number matched. Burke had paid the owner for access. No blood. No hair. But inside the glove compartment, stuck beneath brittle registration papers, was a photograph. A Polaroid. Warped from heat and water damage. It showed a man, blurry profile only, standing beside two little girls on a lakeshore. One had a blue ribbon in her hair. Marla's knees buckled. "It's them," she whispered, clutching the photo. "It's my girls." Burke didn't confirm. He didn't need to. The way she held the photo, the way her body shook, it was enough. The photograph became her new obsession. She enlarged it, brightened it, sent it to police departments, missing children's groups, even professional image analysts. No one could verify the faces. The picture was too damaged. But Marla didn't care. She knew. A mother always knows. She started sleeping with the photo beneath her pillow, tucked just under the Bible she hadn't opened in years. And in Brookhaven, nothing changed. Same stares. Same whispers. Same silence. One morning, someone scrawled, "Let it go," across her mailbox in red marker. But she couldn't. Not when the photograph showed they were still out there. Not when her daughters were still leaving clues, even if they didn't know it. She would keep going, even if the road ahead meant burning down the world just to light the way. By 1994, Marla Granger had stopped counting anniversaries. March had once meant birthday candles and frosting-covered fingers. Now, it marked only absence. 9 birthdays missed. 9 years of Clara's sugary giggle and Sophie's protective arm never heard or seen again. But every morning, Marla woke with the same sliver of defiant hope. Maybe today. The Arkansas photograph still sat in a small frame on her kitchen table. She would study it over coffee, memorizing the way Sophie's hair curled behind her ear, the way the lake reflected the midday sun. She swore she could see Clara's hand reaching for something just out of frame. Burke Lanham had done everything he could with that lead. But the trail was dry. The truck had been stripped, sold, and lost again. Still, Marla didn't stop. One afternoon in late May, she stopped at a rest area just off Highway 71 to replace faded flyers on a bulletin board. She was alone except for a teenager, thin, maybe 14, standing nearby, watching her work. The girl didn't speak at first. Just stared at the photo of the girls and then at Marla. "You're their mom, aren't you?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Marla froze. "Who are you, sweetheart?" The girl's eyes flicked toward the road. "I seen him," she said, pointing at the blurry man in the Polaroid. "Lives at a trailer park outside Conway. He's got 2 girls. They don't talk much." Marla's heart thundered. "Do you know the name of the trailer park?" The girl shook her head. "I was just visiting my cousin. But they looked scared. Wore old clothes. Didn't smile." Marla dug in her purse for a notepad. "Please, your name. A phone number." But the girl was already walking away. Gone before Marla could say thank you. But she had something she hadn't had in a long time. A place. That night, Marla packed her car and drove through the dark, the Arkansas road unwinding like an old scar. She searched 8 trailer parks over 2 days. Conway was smaller than she remembered, tired around the edges. Faded signs. Slouching fences. But at the 9th stop, a rust-colored collection of trailers called Birch Hollow, she felt something shift. At Lot 12, a child's toy lay in the gravel, a plastic rabbit, dirty, 1 ear snapped off. Marla's breath hitched. She knocked. A woman answered, mid-50s, cigarette in hand, wary eyes. "Looking for someone?" she asked. "My daughters," Marla said. "They were taken years ago. Someone told me they might be here." The woman didn't blink. "No kids here. Just me and my dog." Marla nodded. "Thank you," she whispered, and walked away. But she didn't leave. She parked 2 streets over and waited until night fell. Around 9 p.m., a man stepped outside Lot 12. Broad shoulders. Slow gait. cigarette dangling from his mouth. Marla didn't recognize him. No girls came out. No voices. Just the flicker of a television behind thin aluminum walls. After 3 hours, she gave up and drove back to her motel, tears soaking her steering wheel. Back home, the depression hit harder than usual. She moved through the days like a ghost. She began hearing things, a soft giggle, footsteps in the hallway, and chased them, only to find nothing but silence. The worst part wasn't the grief. It was the almosts. A local pastor knocked on her door offering scripture and sympathy. She let him speak for 5 minutes before closing the door mid-sentence. She didn't need verses. She needed her daughters. By the end of 1995, Marla Granger had nothing left to lose. So she did something radical. She placed a classified ad in 8 newspapers across Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. She chose her words with painful precision. To Thomas Granger, if you're alive and have the girls, I forgive you. Please let me know they're okay. No police. No blame. Just one word. Please? Marla. She rented a P.O. box and waited. 3 weeks passed. Nothing. Then, one morning in October, a single envelope arrived. No return address. No message. Just a photograph. 2 girls sitting on a motel bed, backs turned toward the camera, watching television. The photo was grainy, shot from behind. But Marla gasped the moment she saw it. The curve of their necks. The posture. The hair. It was them. Sophie and Clara. Older now. Maybe 11 or 12. But unmistakable. The envelope smelled faintly of motor oil. She studied the stamp. It had been mailed from Missouri. She raced to Burke's office, nearly collapsing on the way. He studied the photo with gloves and magnifying glasses. No fingerprints. No DNA. Nothing identifiable. Just another ghost in the trail. But now they had confirmation. The girls were alive. Burke suggested they work backwards. Missouri was a big state. Thousands of motels. But there might be a pattern. Marla dove into her old journals, every tip, every location. She noticed something that chilled her. Every sighting, every scrap of evidence, followed a northwest curve. Arkansas in 93. Springfield in 94. Now Missouri. Burke mapped it out. It's not random, he said. It's movement. He's drifting. Always just far enough to stay out of reach. And then, 2 days after the photograph arrived, another voice joined the search. A voicemail from a woman, nervous, whispering. I think I saw them. The girls. They came in with a man. He didn't let them talk. Please don't tell anyone I called. I work at a gas station in Joplin. Marla played the message 50 times. Joplin. Another dot on the curve. She packed a suitcase and hit the road. When she arrived, the sky was the color of wet concrete. Joplin felt like a town exhaling exhaustion. Dim motels blinked under tired neon. Gas stations stood silent like sentinels. The name of the place was Franklin Shell, a station at the edge of town. Marla walked in just after noon, pretending to browse. The woman at the register tensed when she saw her. You're her, aren't you? From the news. Marla nodded. The woman dropped her voice. I'm on camera. Come back at closing. 9. I'll walk out with you. So Marla waited. In her car. For 7 hours. Watching. At 9:06 p.m., the woman walked out, coat pulled tight. They came in twice, she whispered. Early October. Then again last week. Same man. Long beard. Ball cap. Girls stayed back, quiet. Are you sure it was them? Marla's voice shook. I can't be certain. But the older one, she kept glancing at me. Like she wanted to speak but couldn't. Did they buy anything? Gas. Jerky. Cigarettes. Paid cash. No plates on the van. Just mud where they should have been. Marla reached out. You're the first person in years who said something that felt real. The woman hesitated. I didn't want to get involved. But I've got daughters too. If it were me, I'd want someone to speak up. Back at the motel, Marla called Burke. He was across the country, but promised to fly out within 2 days. While waiting, Marla traced the highway north of Joplin on a paper map. The path was becoming clearer. It was always small towns. Always near highways. Always moving. And one question haunted her. Why leave breadcrumbs if he didn't want to be found? Burke arrived in Joplin 2 days later, just as a storm rolled across the plains. They started with the gas station, reviewing everything they could. The surveillance tapes had already been erased, recorded over weekly. No footage. No luck. So they moved on. They visited every motel in town, showing clerks the grainy photograph. Most shrugged. A few leaned closer, unsure. But one, a thin man with a prosthetic hand at the Harbor Inn, paused. Saw a guy with 2 girls. October. Stayed 1 night. Paid in cash. Signed in under the name Robert Lang. Marla's heart skipped. Can we see the registry? The clerk pulled out a dusty binder. The signature was written in careful, all-capital letters. But the way that G in Lang curled at the bottom, that loop, Marla recognized it. Thomas used to write like that. She snapped a photo and sent it to Burke's contact at a handwriting analysis lab. Then they checked pawn shops. At the second one, they found something chilling. A thin gold bracelet, the kind a little girl might wear. On the inside, barely visible, was an engraving. SC. Sophie Clara. It cost $8. The clerk said a man sold it weeks ago. Looked homeless. Lived in a van. Paid in cash. Didn't speak much. Burke bought the bracelet without a word. Marla clutched it to her chest like a holy relic. It was proof. Not just that they were alive, but that they were close. They stayed in Joplin 3 more days, but local police refused to help. No crime's been committed, one officer said with a shrug. If the girls are with their father, and there's no custody order, technically they're not missing. Marla nearly screamed. They were stolen from their beds. But she didn't scream. She walked outside, leaned against Burke's truck, and wept into her scarf. That night, at a quiet diner, Burke spoke over the rim of his coffee cup. I've worked a lot of cases, Marla. But never one like this. A father this calculated. A mother this relentless. Marla stared out the frosted window. It's not a game to him, she said quietly. It's punishment. Burke frowned. For what? She hesitated. Then, I asked Thomas for a divorce. 2 weeks before the girls disappeared. I never told the police. I was afraid they'd blame me. Burke didn't blink. What did he say when you told him? Marla looked down. Her voice barely a whisper. He smiled. And said, "You'll never take my girls from me." Burke leaned back, jaw tight. Well, then we're not just chasing a kidnapper. We're chasing a man hell-bent on control. The truth stung. Not just because it explained everything, but because it meant there was no limit to how far Thomas would go. Back at the motel, Marla dreamt of glass walls, her daughter standing behind them, faces pressed to the surface, lips moving but no sound. When she woke, the bracelet lay next to her pillow. She couldn't cry anymore. The next day, she returned to the gas station. The same woman was behind the counter. Marla handed her an envelope. "What's this?" the woman asked. "Just a thank you." The woman smiled after reading the note. "Then maybe I'll keep looking too." Marla and Burke left Joplin with a plan. He would follow credit records, aliases, vehicle logs. She would visit schools and foster agencies under the guise of a social worker, looking for any whispers of twin girls kept in hiding. But something had changed inside her. This wasn't just a mission now. This was a hunt. The snow followed her north, quiet and soft. But under it, the footprints remained, waiting. By early December 1996, the roads were quiet under a blanket of snow, and Marla Granger's faith was colder than the wind slipping through the seams of her coat. The bracelet now hung around her neck on a chain. She touched it constantly, like a prayer she didn't have the words for. Burke had flown back to Texas to chase another lead. Marla remained in Joplin, combing through motel records, church bulletins, school yearbooks, any clue that might break open the pattern. Then, at the front desk of her motel, a small box arrived. No postage. No return address. Just her name, scrawled in black marker. Inside, a VHS tape. And a note. One line only. "You missed this. Thought you should have it. A friend." Her hands trembled. She begged the front desk clerk for a VHS player. They had one in the storage room, dusty and barely working. Alone in her room, Marla pushed the tape into the machine. Static. Then flickering footage. Her kitchen. Her girls, Sophie and Clara, in matching pajamas, chasing each other around the table while Thomas filmed. Marla gasped. It was from before everything. A happier time, a lie she used to live. Then the screen cut suddenly. New footage. Blurry. Shaky. A hidden camera. A motel room. Thomas sat on the edge of a bed, reading a newspaper. The girls, just out of frame, whispered softly. Then his voice. "No more talking. Y'all know the rules." The camera tilted. One of the girls stepped into view. She was older now. Maybe 10. Pale. Quiet. Arms wrapped around herself. Sophie. The tape went black. Marla collapsed onto the bed, breath gone. Someone had been watching them. Someone had filmed them after the abduction. But who? And why? She rewound the tape, pausing on one detail, the motel's wallpaper. Faded green with tiny roses. Later that night, Burke called to check in. She told him everything. His voice was calm, clipped. "That wallpaper. I've seen it. There's a burned-out motel about 20 minutes east of Joplin. Off Highway 44. Closed down in '92. It had that exact pattern. They drove there at first light. The place looked abandoned, sagging under snow. Its sign hung sideways on rusted chains. Windows boarded. Doors broken. Inside room 8, they found it, the same view from the tape. The wallpaper peeling in long strips. The scent of mildew and ash. In the closet, behind the loose panel, Burke pulled out a single child's sock, pink, with a bunny stitched at the toes. Marla pressed it to her chest. "Clara had these," she whispered. "I bought them the week before." She couldn't finish. Burke scanned the room. They were here. At least for a while. But why leave all these clues? Marla's voice cracked. "Because someone wants me to keep going." 3 days later, another envelope arrived, this time postmarked from Iowa. Inside, a child's drawing. 2 stick girls holding hands, a third figure beside them, looming, drawn larger and shaded in black. Above them, a storm cloud. On the back, in a child's careful handwriting. We sleep in the woods sometimes. He gets mad when we cry. Marla felt her knees give. It was from them. She knew it. Sophie had always drawn storm clouds. Clara had always drawn rays around her sons. Burke was silent for a long time. Then, Marla, we need to consider something. What? What if he's not just hiding them? What if he's hurting them? Keeping them scared so they don't try to escape? The thought was a knife. All these years, Marla had imagined them in a cabin, safe but tucked away. Living, at least. But this was survival. Not living. Just surviving. They prepared to head for Iowa. But before they could leave, a knock came at Marla's motel door. It was nearly midnight. A woman stood there, mid-40s. Nervous. "I saw you on TV," she said. "I think I might have known your husband. Years ago." Marla let her in. The woman's name was Karen Bishop. She had worked with a traveling carnival in the late 80s, drifting between Louisiana and Arkansas. There was a man who called himself Robert Lang, she said. He had 2 girls. Told people their mother died in a fire. Wouldn't let them talk to anyone. She paused. "One night, I saw bruises on the younger one. I asked if she was okay. He threatened me. Said they were his, and no one would take them." Marla clenched her fists. "Why didn't you report it?" "I was scared. I didn't have papers. I didn't think anyone would believe me." "Where was this?" "Outside Marshall, Missouri. At a campground. Summer of '91. That was 6 years after the girls vanished." Another piece of the puzzle. Another confirmation that they'd been on the move. Burke asked, "Do you think he's still alive?" Karen didn't hesitate. "Men like that don't die easy. They just get meaner with time." That night, Marla sat on the motel bed with the drawing in her lap. Were her daughters sending these? Were they planning something? Trying to be found? She looked at the crude handwriting again. The child's trembling words. Then she whispered into the dark. "If you're out there, keep them safe. Keep them alive. Please." Outside, the snow began to fall again, soft and steady, like ash from a slow-burning fire. In early 1997, Marla Granger and Burke Lanham crossed into Iowa, following the trail of drawings, envelopes, and the quiet prayers of 2 girls hiding in the shadows. They stopped at every roadside diner, every dusty gas station, leaving flyers behind, not new ones, but the original black and white image from 1985. The one where Sophie had her hand on Clara's cheek. Frozen in time. Outside Council Bluffs, a woman from a volunteer shelter contacted them. "There was a man," she said. "Came through here every few years. Paid in cash. Had 2 girls. Real quiet. Never gave names. Stayed to themselves." Marla asked, "Did the girls say anything?" "Not really. But one of them always carried a small red jam jar. Wouldn't let it go. Even slept with it." Marla's breath caught. Clara used to write dreams on scraps of paper and stuff them into jars. Tiny hopes sealed with a lid. The woman brought them to an empty lot where the man had parked his van the last time. It was gone, of course. But Burke searched the area anyway. Behind a rusted mattress frame, something glinted in the dirt, a cracked red jam jar, muddy but intact. Inside, wrapped tightly, was a yellowed scrap of paper. In childlike crayon. "Mom, we miss you. He said you died, but I know you didn't. I saw you in the dream. We hide our letters now. Maybe you'll find them. Clara." Marla sank to her knees. She didn't sob. She didn't scream. She just whispered, she still believes. That night, back at their motel, she played the VHS tape again, watching Sophie's quiet face flicker across the screen. She touched the bracelet at her neck. It felt heavier now, like memory forged into gold. A week later, a retired waitress from southern Minnesota called after seeing the news. "I saw that man," she said. "Back in '99. Went by Russ. Said the girls were his nieces. One of them had a limp. Clara had broken her ankle just before she turned 6. It never healed quite straight." Marla and Burke rushed to the town. The diner was still there, though the name had changed. They combed libraries, old security logs, hospital records. At the local library, an elderly clerk remembered a quiet man who borrowed an atlas once and left a gas receipt inside. It was from North Dakota, dated October 2000. The path was clear now. Thomas Granger had moved northwest. Always north. Always isolated. In North Dakota, a local tow yard still had records from a camper van abandoned during a winter storm in 2000. Registered to Robert Lang. Of course. Inside, police had found drawings. Dolls. Small clothes. The van had since been crushed for scrap. But Marla knew. The toys meant the girls had been there. Alive. Then another envelope arrived, postmarked from Idaho. Inside, a drawing. 2 girls sitting inside a tent. A dark figure stood at the flap. Stars above. A campfire nearby. On the back, in more mature handwriting. "We're older now. He says people will take us away if they find us. But we want to go home." Burke studied the curves of the letters. "They're growing up," he said quietly. "And they're sending messages on purpose now." It meant one thing. They were resisting. Then, a strange twist. A retired mail carrier from Montana called in. He said he'd once delivered to a remote box that occasionally had childlike letters with no return address. Drawings. Crayon notes. Always outgoing. "I kept one," he said. Felt like someone was reaching for help. He mailed it to Marla. Inside, a torn scrap of lined paper. "Sometimes I think about the way you laughed, Mom. He says you don't exist. But I remember your voice. I'm sorry we can't run. He watches us even when he sleeps." That broke her. Not because of the pain, but because of the clarity. Her daughters were still there. Still fighting. Still trying. Burke put a finger on the map, tracing the curved route from Arkansas to Montana. He's not going to stop. But neither are they. And neither was Marla. In April 2005, a letter from a postmaster in Flathead County, Montana arrived. With it, a note. "One of your girls left this on my desk the day before she disappeared again. I didn't know what to do then. I do now." The handwriting inside was nearly adult. "We're trying to find you. He keeps moving us. But we're older now. We leave signs. One day, you'll find us. Sophie and Clara Granger." Marla dropped to the floor, the air knocked from her lungs. It had been 20 years. 20 years since they vanished from their beds. And now it wasn't a chase anymore. It was a rescue. The Flathead County tip led them to a cluster of rundown cabins in the woods. The kind of place where people disappear on purpose. Burke posed as a journalist. Marla stayed in the car, watching through the window. At cabin 4, a woman named Betty answered the door. Hands dirty from potting soil. "Yeah, I remember them," she said. "Man with 2 daughters. Quiet. Girls never spoke. Never went to school. Just sat by the window. Watching the trees. Marla approached slowly, breath catching in her throat. Did they leave anything behind? Betty thought. Then went inside and returned with a shoebox. Inside, drawings. 2 girls. A woman with golden hair. A house with curtains. One had a message scrawled in the corner. She'll come from the west. We'll wait. Marla nearly collapsed. It was her. Her hair. Her silhouette. Burke flipped one over and spotted faint pencil. Miller Farm. July. They dug through local records. It took a week, but Burke found it, an old cattle farm turned off-grid commune near Helena. They drove through miles of forest until they reached a rusted sign. Miller Ranch, private property. Burke knocked. A man answered. Thin. Graying. Cold eyes. We're looking for 2 girls, Burke said. June and Maisie Granger. He used fake names, no need to startle him. No one here by that name, the man said quickly. Then Marla stepped from the car. Their eyes met. It was him. Thomas. Her scream shattered the trees. She lunged. Burke held her back. Let me see them. Let me see them. But Thomas was stone. There's no one here. Police were called. This time, people listened. Authorities searched the property within 24 hours. In a locked cellar beneath a barn, they found 2 rooms, 2 beds, notebooks, drawings, jars, a diary, the final entry. Tomorrow we try again. This time, we leave through the window. We don't care where it leads. The girls were gone. But the world was finally watching. Thomas Granger was arrested. Charged with kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, and psychological abuse. He never showed remorse. But Marla didn't care. She had momentum now. Weeks passed. Then, one bright May morning, a call came from a small hospital in northern Washington. 2 young women walked in. Starving. Pale. One with a limp. The other barely speaking. They gave their names. Sophie and Clara Granger. DNA confirmed it. After 20 years, Marla stepped into a white room with faded curtains and saw them, not children anymore, but women. She froze. Then Clara took the first step. Then Sophie. And suddenly they were in her arms, trembling, weeping. I never stopped looking, Marla whispered. We never stopped dreaming, Clara sobbed. They stayed in the hospital for weeks. Healing. Talking. Reconnecting. In time, they shared their story. And Marla shared hers. She kept every letter, every jar, every drawing. She turned them into an exhibit at a small museum in Louisiana. She named it The Window That Faced West. Because for 20 years, her daughters had waited. And she had answered. Sometimes, the people we're searching for are looking for us, too.
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.